I had an extra one. Somebody put an extra one on my finishing position. I don't know. It must have been a typo or something. There was an
Somebody put
extra
some
one on
extra
there.
cones under your bumper. Is what
Ah!
is what they did.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the fourth episode of the LMC podcast. I'm Mike Wyban, and here's Brian.
This is Brian. Hello, folks. We're back.
We're back again. Coming off of a weekend at MBR.
That's right.
It was a very rainy and cold day at MBR. And some of us fared a little bit better than others.
This is true. Factual information is being shared.
So, how was your weekend?
My weekend was all right. Saturday I went to an autocross, and then Sunday, I just kind of hung out and enjoyed life. So nothing crazy eventful. Yeah, Saturday was not a good day for me.
Yeah, the rain in the morning really kind of made the course a bit slick and inconsistent, and then as the day progressed and dried out in the afternoon, we got some drier but drying runs. Still some slick spots, and it's definitely a tricky conditions.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, who's just, looking at the times online or whatever, basically what happened was we show up at the race. It's dry in the morning, clouds are dark, but it's dry. We show up and we're split, and we had two run groups. And, usually when we set up the run groups, we try and put the people racing each other in the same run group. So, there's always going to be a split somewhere, but we usually try and put the people who are racing close together in the same run group, and that did not happen at this event. So basically, what happened was I was in a different run group than all of my competitors, and I had an unfair advantage. I'll admit it. I had an unfair advantage. All right.
Not just a cheater car this time.
No, it's never been a cheater car, Michael Wyman. It's never been a cheater car. Basically what happened was I got out on track. So I was co-driving with Sam Mailer, and he did his first run out on track. And I rode along with him, and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of grip out here. I was not anticipating taking the banking as fast as he was. I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot how hard you can really lean into the tires on the banking. So he did his run, and then it was my turn to go out and run. And I think I put down like a 40 flat or something like that.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, that was my first run. It was a 40 flat with a cone, but the timing was off that day, and they didn't mark the cone until after both run groups ran. But I go out on track, put a 40 flat, and I just keep getting slower because so the rain came. It started to drizzle a little bit, and then it got a little heavier and heavier and heavier. And by the time I was done running, I was 7/10 down on my first run out. And then the poor folks in run group 2 had to go out to run, but the even poorer folks in run group 1 had to work.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, we were freezing out there. You were in run group
I was in
2,
run
right?
group too, so yeah,
Yeah.
I got to run in the wet. And during run group two, like I think Jonathan's fastest time was like a 42,
Yeah,
which
it was like a second
two
and a half
seconds
slower.
slower. Yeah,
Yeah, 2 seconds
off of
slower.
what the best morning run was. So definitely very moist, wet conditions. I know we had some of the pictures and video you can see between the morning and afternoon, or morning and second run group. It just progressively got so much worse. So
Yeah.
it definitely made for some very slick conditions. Also made it so that it was going to be a little bit difficult for anybody who was running second to catch up to any of the morning groups or the first run groups times. However, we did have a break for lunch, and the clouds parted slightly. And by around 1 o'clock, it was starting to dry out.
Okay, don't exaggerate this break for lunch. Us folks who were working came in all chilled to the bone, freezing, man. I feel so bad for everyone out there. There were many people who were ill prepared for the weather. And so we basically huddled inside of the little building they have there, and we all grouped together. We were eating lunch, and we all came together and we're like, all right, guys, we're here to have fun. What are we doing here? Are we calling it? Are we gonna, are we gonna keep running as if the morning runs count? Are we gonna redo the whole day and just start over? So fresh times. Um, and I guess the consensus from the group was that we should restart the event. Um, so the afternoon, clean slate, none of the runs counted in the morning. It was basically you had to take them all as sighting runs and go from there. So the pavement did dry; it progressively dried up, and we also paired uh, drivers competing with each other in the same run group. So that was good.
Yeah, and so we ended up working first in the afternoon and then running actually together um, in the afternoon. I know my first run in the afternoon was already 2 seconds faster than my fastest run in the morning. So definitely much better conditions, uh, but still a very tricky course because it was not completely dry, and the banking, as you said, is very very fast, and you got a Titan radius come in off the banking, and that transition can always catch you out. We had a lot of spins even in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I was talking with Jonathan earlier, and he was like, "You almost had to be slidey to be fast around that course, because if you were driving it slow enough to if you were driving slow enough that it looked like you were on rails, you were going too slow,
Hmm.
just because of the wetness in the pavement. I mean, it was drying, but it was nowhere near as dry as it was in the morning, and you can definitely see a difference between the morning and uh, you can see a difference if you watch the videos from like when I go out on course versus when Run Group 2 went out on course. And then in the afternoon when we went out on course again, it was three different pavement types.
Yep.
Um, and with those three different pavement types, there was different water features in each section of the track. I
Yeah.
know there was a huge river just going through the middle of the track.
Yep.
And then all coming off of the banking on both sides, it was pretty slick there still.
Very much so. I mean, we can kind of get into the idea of really pushing every run or taking a safety run. I know my final run, I was trailing a couple key competitors like Logan and
Hmm.
whatnot, and I just had to. But the previous run was my go for broke run, and I spun. So the final run, I was like, I have to just have a clean run and focus on line and going through. And as you said, if you weren't sliding, you weren't necessarily totally fast, but I did a smooth, not really sliding run, but at a decent trace through it, and I was able to get my time down. Still nowhere close to what like Jonathan ran, but
Mhm.
um, it was a safe run too. So because I just needed it to get a good time in, which did work out. I ended up in sixth overall,
Mhm.
so it's not too bad.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of strategy at this event for a few people, yourself included, myself included, Jonathan included. Um, I know there was a bit of a conversation last night between you and Jonathan that he told me about, where there were a bunch of situations that we had to pick, and he says both of us made the proper decision. With you in your case, you where did you place the first race?
On the first race, I was, I think eighth.
Let's see. You were in
I think it
yes,
was eighth. I'm showing 19 points, which should be eighth place.
that was eighth place. Yes.
Yes.
So at the first event, you were in eighth place, and you said you had coned your third to last or second to last run.
Yes.
So you had one run, make it count. You were in eighth place before. You knew you could put down a time that was faster than an eighth place position. So you chose the safe route instead of going for broke and taking a lower position and hurting your points overall.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, he was in a position where he got third place at the first race. So he was, and he was also doing well that day. So he was I'm not sure he had any cone runs. He might have had like one or two, but he was in the position where he could push a little bit because it's the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You got two drops over the whole season
Is
to
it
pick
two?
from.
I thought it
It's
was
two
one.
drops.
It's two. Okay.
It's two drops excluding the last race. You're
Yes.
not allowed to drop the last race. Um, so he was lucky enough to get a good run in, and he did well in the points that day. The the position I was in was a tough position. I had coned all three, so we had four runs in the afternoon to make it or break it. That's it. The event's over after that. And I had coned all three of my runs, but I was on pace for a podium position. Um, I think at that point I was, approaching the double digits of places, and I was like, either I was like, I could put a safe one down and get a fifth place finish or whatever, or I can go for broke and try to get either a first or a second. Um, and I wasn't thinking about it in the moment, but I think I made the right decision in going for broke, trying to get the position for first or second or third or whatever, because I have drops to spare. Um, in my grand plan, I would have dropped this event anyways if I would have put down a safe run.
Mhm.
Um, so, a fourth place or an 11th place is, in my grand plan, would have been a drop. So I had to choose, and I guess I wasn't thinking about it in the moment. I was just amped up. I was just like, we got to put one down, and
Mhm.
then the second cone on course, dude, I just run right over it. So what happened was I was like, oh crap. So as Jonathan made that 37.9 or whatever it was, like, I was in line. He passed me, and I looked at the time, and I was like, uh oh. Um, I got freaking nervous, man. I was like, we got to do this. And I popped my hood real quick and I made a shock adjustment. And the problem was that it was, I don't know, a good 5 minutes since I ran, and the track was changing. It was drying up as the day went on. And what I suspect happened was I made the shock change. My front end was, it was a little more stable, and the pavement dried up. So when I got to that corner where I was used to kind of pushing a little bit because of the wet, and I get to there and it's dry, dude, and I just drove right over that cone.
Yeah, that's never fun. I know. Yeah, actually, looking at our final times, it looks like I would have been in that 11th position if I didn't get that final run in.
Hmm.
So I was running like a 40.5.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I cut close to a second off on that final run. And I mean, definitely could have done a lot more, but having spun on my third run, I was a little afraid to push it too far.
Right.
But yeah, like,
Because you wanted to secure that position. You
yeah,
wanted
and
to play it safe and get a position because you knew you had a feeling you could put a good one down.
yeah, I mean, it is 11th is not quite where I want to be. I and then I also had Logan with that 40 flat, and I'm like, I got to beat him.
Hmm.
It's that drive to beat Logan. I know. Um, so and then on top of that, I do know that I am missing at least one event, so I don't have as many drops. I actually also only thought we dropped one, so I was
Uh
definitely concerned about every event I go to. So
huh. Yeah. Yeah. So.
yeah, I mean that one was also strange because normally higher speed runs, some quick transitions, you'd be running the shocks fairly firm, but because it was so cold and so wet, it was just run them as soft as possible to try and pull whatever grip you can out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it was trying to get that tire to really stick to the pavement and not break loose because of the dampness. So, oh snap! Look who we got here.
Well, welcome.
Hello, hello.
We got
Oh,
Jim Holley. What's what's your car number?
87.
87.
with a
87.
Any reason you
beautiful
picked that number?
red NA.
Yeah, so, I picked it actually for one kind of goofy reason and one real simple reason. I'm still considering doing a kind of an ode to the Mazda 787B. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh
The Le
yeah,
Mans
Okay,
car.
yeah.
of
And
course you
then
do.
if I don't end up doing that, I was born in '87, so it's easy.
There you
So there
go.
you go.
That works. All right, Jim. So, what'd you think of this past event?
It was good. So let's give you a simple answer, right? Um, no, it worked out, man. For me personally, the goal has to be to feel like I get some sort of improvement. You know what I mean? So,
Of
um,
course.
and in a general sense, I got points this weekend or last
Mhm.
weekend, right? So that was obviously I finished better than I did the first. I've looked at it like I think I understand some technicalities better than I do how to carry speed. Because the IX Center was a much faster course, and I couldn't get there like everyone else could. This
Mhm.
course is a lot tighter, and I seem to do better, I guess, compared to everyone else. Still slow, but you know,
Hey,
not as.
that's okay, man. We're all there to have fun. That's the point.
Well,
So,
having had run a 44 earlier in the day, I can tell you that 44 still felt fast around this course. It
mhm.
was very slick and slidey, so yeah, it definitely. Um, on top of that, I believe you ran in the first run group in the afternoon.
Uh,
Yeah,
yes,
he did.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
afternoon, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So you actually had slightly less ideal conditions than even Brian and I did. 'Cause it was continually progressing to get drier throughout the day. So
yeah, yeah. I think it seemed like with the heat and stuff too, I think the second run group of the afternoon, the last run group, probably had the best chance. But I wasn't close enough either to say, "Well, that's why I didn't win." That's the way it went.
Dude, that's definitely why, dude.
Yeah,
Blame it on the
gotta be
wet,
the
man.
reason.
Yeah, you're a race car driver now. You got to make all the excuses.
That's it.
Exactly.
Well, I will say it felt really good because I didn't know because some scoring issues here and there. Um, the time that I got to put me in that group was a lap that I had spun out on, so it was like almost a 60. I mean, I had no idea
Mhm.
where I was actually going to finish or where I was going to go. So when I ran my first clean lap in the afternoon, I was pleasantly surprised that I was closer than I thought I would be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. It's always fun to watch you go out there and you're, having a good time. You're like, I remember you would. So I was doing the what should I call it? I was doing traffic. So
oh yeah,
basically, I was because it's the one little channel that you have to get on and off of the track, and so I was keeping people from coming down. Like, oh, come on down. And I remember you would come down every so often, and you're like, dude, around that corner, man, just tell me to pin it, and I'll pin it. And I was like, oh.
but it's funny. So I try very hard to watch. I mean, Brian, you're a great example, right? To watch somebody that I know is fast. I know that is most likely, at least in the ballpark of the best line or the best idea. And if I hear you not lifting, right, like it's like okay, so you should be able to do that. Like obviously my skill level isn't there, but like what do I need to do
Yeah.
to carry that speed? And that coming off of those banks. The first time I tried was the bank, the very first bank, right, the right hand to the bank. And the first time I
Yeah.
tried to hammer off of it, I I lost it, spun just clean spun out of it. So then I kind of got it fast, but the last corner, man, even though you're not really, but for me, that's the first time in autocross that coming out of that corner was almost like, this is fast, like you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
so I couldn't make myself let the car rotate out of that corner and come around through it. That's why, like I asked you, I was like, dude, that corner, just tell me right now, like it will stay, just go. You know what I mean? So, and then I did.
That corner.
We got there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
That corner was really tough because basically you're flying on the banking and you had to slow down so that you could make the corner because it was a
hmm
tighter corner than the banking. But if you tap the brakes too much, you're gonna loop it. And if you start coasting too early, you're just gonna lose too much speed. And I think that was one of the toughest corners of the course was coming off of the second banking down into that chute there before the finish because
Yeah,
it
and
was
it
yeah
was also kind of difficult because where you're aiming for was partially in the A pillar. So like it was slightly blind coming into it. You're coming also around the cement block wall that they have kind of in there. So
hmm
you're turning in towards that, and it
someone
gets in
had a
your head a
close
little.
call, man. I
Yeah.
saw it. Someone had a close call. They were pointed right at those concrete barriers.
Yep.
yeah. It's funny actually. Like I talked to Jonathan about that. Like that exact thing. I told him, I said, look, I don't know if it's my overall stature in this car, but like I couldn't look through that corner because it was absolutely blind because it was
Yeah.
directly in my apo. I couldn't see anything. So I'm
hmm
Yep.
just you're kind of just trying to go as fast as you can doing this little bit, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah,
but it
yeah.
was fun. It was fun though, for sure. Absolute blast.
Oh yeah. And I mean, let's face it. You finished around like Colin, Megan, Jeff. I mean, those Forrest. Those are all really good times. So they're all. It's a good place. You're in good company. That's a nice
Yeah.
competitive place to be. And if you can keep staying around there or even improving, that's going to be a fun year for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a big thing for me. I have to look at it that way. This event at MBR was my second ever. Like so,
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Period. So, I don't expect to have any kind of, I don't have any grandeur of greatness, right? I didn't expect to just come in and be like, oh, new sheriff in town, fellas. You know what I mean? I just, uh, I'm getting around the course. I'm not getting lost. I'm hitting less. I'm hitting things on less laps than I'm not. You know what I mean? I'll take it.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
and we're getting. I think I feel fast. You know what I mean? I feel fast.
Heck yeah,
So
Yes.
man. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
autocrossing is the fastest 40 miles an hour will ever feel.
that's
Yeah, for real.
yeah, it is wild, man. It is. Well, so I worked. Working the corners out there. I watched. This is actually hilarious. Is I watched some guys, and I'm kind of sitting there thinking to myself, like, wonder if I'm faster than this guy. Wonder if I'm faster than this guy. And some of the people I watch go around, I'm like, man, they're going so slow. And then I look at the standings, and that's exactly where I am. Like, that's exactly where I was. So it's like, yeah, I guess it is, And it
Uh-huh.
feels fast in the car, man. It feels
Oh
super
man.
fast in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I know the first time I ever rode passenger in an autocross, it was like, wow, this is really fast. How am I going to keep up with this? And then you drive it, and you're like, okay, I can definitely keep up with this, but it is still very fast. And then when you watch it from the outside, you're like, go faster, come on.
Yeah, they're like so slow.
yeah, yeah, and it's and I'm still learning. I think seat time is big. One of the things for me is when I watch the YouTube videos and stuff from the events, I watch a lot of the guys. They can kind of teeter in that. Here is all the grip. Here's none of the grip, and here's the
Mhm.
little area. I don't have enough experience, so I ride all the grip until it's just gone. It's out, and I'm like, oh, now
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
we're sideways. You know what I mean? And it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
So I watch some of the fast laps, man, and the little recoveries that are made when you're on the edge there. I don't get that luxury of I don't feel it early enough. You know what I mean? Well, by the time I feel it, I'm looking backwards at the start line, and I'm like, all right, well, that's obviously that was too much. So slower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently in the I can manipulate the car to get it to rotate, and I have some anticipation for it, but I'm still doing it based upon feedback. Versus like Brian and Jonathan seem like they know they're anticipating it up front, and they know exactly what the car is going to do, and they can get that rotation done real nicely and still in control.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, and I think and I'm sure Brian would never not take the credit for a compliment I'll probably give him here. But here's the thing. I think there's people like me that when the car rotates or does something like that. In a lot of ways, I kind of pat the dashboard and I'm like, "Hey, that was cool. You can do that anytime you want to do it," And then there's people who understand that it's coming, and then people like Brian and Jonathan and Andrew, they go out and make the car do that. Like they
Mhm.
can make the car behave that way, and I can't. I don't have that skill set, you know, yet. We'll say, but
Not yet. That's
yeah,
right. Not
Yes.
yeah.
yet.
So we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it's a great time, man. I've been having an absolute blast doing it. Um, Looking forward to the 2 day. I mean that'll be a lot of fun. I think so.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you'll be there for both days.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not going out this weekend because I kind of made that decision. I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to go to both days at pit race. So have a good time
Awesome.
with video footage in my car. I bought some camera stuff, so start videoing.
Ooh. What'd you
Yeah.
get?
I don't. You know what? If I could told you, I'd be lying to you. It's a we'll call it a GoPro ish instrument. How about that?
Ah.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And if I need to step up the quality, we will. But I got it's like an Acaso or something like that. I can't remember what it is exactly, but
Yeah, I
but
think
yeah,
I've heard of that one.
yeah. So it's something to start getting some footage, and seeing where it's at, and see how I like it, and mounting options, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying since I have a hard top, I can just suction it to the roof, so it works out pretty
That's
well.
right. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. I think because it is. I learned so much watching the runs posted, on YouTube after the fact. Um, like really just watching them, I'm like, oh Jesus, the biggest thing is the areas that I'm like, oh, I had a great line there, and then I watch all the fastest guys, and I'm like, or not, I guess that's not how I did it. So so now I'd love to start having some of mine put together, and there's a few guys that if I maintain where I was, there's a few guys that are in my we'll call it speed bracket, right? That also video. So it'd be cool to see some comparisons and try to learn, man. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Just
Pretty much
keep
your
at it.
first season is all learning. I remember my first season, you got to set a goal and you got to really observe the people and try and learn as much as you can. I remember the first season I set my sights on Lisa, man. I had my sights on Lisa. I was like, that's who I'm going to try and beat this year. I would, you know, I would jump in and out of the category or the I guess grouping with them, and yeah, I learned a lot my first year. So that's what it's really all about, year one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, for me, Lisa is I don't know, she's still 3 seconds faster than I am. So yeah,
Yeah.
I got a few other people to catch first, and then maybe we'll worry about Lisa next year. I don't know.
Well, Jim, so how did you what's your automotive journey like? What was your first, fun car or first car? And then, where did things start to go down the rabbit hole of, man, dude, I can't stop spending money on race cars.
I think I decided to make my wife hate me. That's probably where I started. Trying to get a divorce. No, I've kind of always been in it. My dad built a Myers Manx fiberglass body dune buggy back in the
Yeah,
60s.
those are sweet,
That's
dude.
awesome. Yeah.
So I grew up with one of those. Dad always had his buggy, and we always did stuff with that. Me and Dad always went to car shows. By the time I was 10, I could tell you a 55, 56, or 57 Chevy Bel Air by the taillights. You know what I mean? Like I just understood that stuff, and
Uh-huh.
it's what I did with Dad. And then me personally, I actually wanted a Miata. A Miata would have been my first car, except Dad kind of looked at it and was like, "You'll get murdered in that thing. Like that. Like it's you can't drive around a shoebox. You know what I mean?" So,
Uh-huh.
so I ended up. My first car was my mom's hand-me-down van, which I did have rims and a system on. Okay, so like don't get it twisted. It
What
was
kind of
good.
van was it?
It was a '93 Chrysler Voyager, I think is what they were. Plymouth like Grand Caravan kind of, but like
Was it the
90s.
Plymouth Voyager? Yeah.
Yeah,
The Plymouth Voyager. Yep.
Yeah, so square body
That
van.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I had the middle seats out, so it was just a back bench seat, so it was kind of like a little lounge in the back.
Oh man.
Don't get me started,
Oh,
man.
man, yeah.
That's a whole other life. That's a whole other life. Let's keep this a PG podcast. It was a fun time though. So, yeah. Then from that, I had a Ford Explorer, and my biggest kick after the Explorer was I never wanted to own anything again that wasn't a manual. So I bought a Tacoma. I bought a Toyota Tacoma, which is my first manual I'd owned. I went and taught myself how to learn. I taught myself how to drive manual on the test drive of that Tacoma. Like that's 100% true. And then they were just kind of eye candy transportation because at that time I was super into stuff I'll never afford, right? The exotics. To me, the prettiest car ever made was a Ferrari F40. That is just
Mhm.
Pininfarina's brainchild of automotive design. It's beautiful. So I was always into that stuff, and then I don't even remember how. I think I went to a sled pool, and then I worked for a guy who had a 1-ton crew cab dually. Okay, well, it's extended cab dually. So a 1-ton extended cab dually that made 1,000 horsepower, and it was the most intense thing I've ever ridden in my life. So I got really into diesels. I bought an old 12 valve Cummins. because that's the only diesel that should ever been made. And I started I started putting money into it, and that's, man, I could have bought so many Miatas for the amount of money that I put in that truck. Um, could have had a little Miata. I could have had my own LMC series with the cost of injectors in that thing. So, uh, but so we but I did that, and then what actually happened to that truck was the Dodge part of the Cummins just rusted to the ground because that's what they do. So I went to do that. I kept the engine and stuff. I was going to build a drag truck, and it was always a compounding thing, right? That I'm like, listen, I can't spend this kind of money to do what? I'm not going out to race, the national. Like, it's just a hobby. That's fun race car, and so I ended up selling it. I sold it and kind of focused more on motorcycles, which I've always been into. That's another side thing. I've always ridden bikes, and I figured I got my bike and stuff. But I had this itch, like, because then I just had a work truck. I didn't even have a personal vehicle, and I was just like, I got this itch. And then you want to hear how tricky I can be. We got cameras in our trucks at work, so I convinced the wife that I needed a personal car. I got to get a personal vehicle. So me living in Ohio, right, where it is only nice for what 2.5 minutes out of the year, I convinced
Yeah,
her
right.
that a good personal vehicle for me would be a Miata. Um, so I bought it with the sole intention of kind of building a show car out of it, in a way, just kind of making a nice, clean car. Of course, I had all kinds of wild ideas of turbo in it, or I'd love to have an LS Miata because I think it would just be the
Mhm.
most ridiculous thing ever. I mean,
Absurd,
it'd be
dude.
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I'd love to do that. And then I went and bought my car, which is an absolute gem of a find. And but when I got it back from Texas, is where I bought it. Uh, Basically, what had happened is they put dextrose in it, and then mixed it with something, and it turned to a gel and clogged up a bunch of sensors and stuff in it. Well, I'm not a Miata guy, right? I can work on about anything, and I did a timing belt service and all that stuff. With Jonathan may have an opinion of whether I did a good job at that or not. So, bottom line is, once I got all that stuff done, she didn't run as well as she could have. Okay, so I got a bunch of opinions, a couple of mechanic buddies of mine. Nobody could really figure it out. Got on the forums and stuff and was like, hey, look, I need a Miata guy. I need somebody who understands a 35-year-old specific engine in a car. And the overwhelming consensus was, hey, if you're in, the Northeast area, like, if you can get it to Leroy, get it to Leroy. They're the guys, they're the Miata guys to talk to. So I did that, met Jonathan and Tim. And then, of course, Jonathan is very, very good to work with. And then, of course, you start talking about it. I knew that the car was on the original 1990 suspension, like not the design, the actual like Mazda written on the side of it. And he let me drive his car. I don't
That was a
advise that.
mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah, don't advise that if you don't want to spend some cash, because it will show you exactly what a car is supposed to feel like.
Mhm.
Drove his car, and then he kind of talked to me about the Miata Cup, and racing, buddy. Like, it didn't take much, convincing. I'm like, I can slap some numbers on this thing right now. What are we doing? Let's go race car. So I'm in.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So, and here we are, man. Now we've taken my daily driver, and it's got almost enough camber to not be cool, and 200 tread wear tires, and a suspension that may or may not be welded solid. I'm not quite sure. So it is what it is. So, but that's where we're at, man. That's the journey. That's how we're on the podcast, right? That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy. That's
That's
how
how
we're
we got
here.
here. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a fun journey, and if you wouldn't mind, you'd say, I know you talked. I talked to you a little bit yesterday, and your particular Miata is actually very nice, very clean, very low miles, and
Yes.
a
Yeah.
steal of a price. So,
Yeah. I'll tell you. Everybody can. This is one of those. You're not gonna be jealous of my lap time, so you can be jealous of the deal I got on my car. So, um, I looked. I wanted a Miata. Obviously, up here, looking for I wasn't really trying to spend. I really didn't want to be five figures. I really didn't want to spend 10, 12 grand on a Miata. Like I kind of didn't. But I started to get there because I really, really did not want just rust boxes. I didn't care, front fenders, hoods, that's fine. But the entire, rear quarters, the entire back section of a Miata, it's all weld. You can't take any of that off. So if it's rotted, and they all rot through the rain rail, so they're just
Yeah.
terrible. So I just started looking. I found I found one up actually near Leroy that a guy wanted with 50,000 miles on it for $12,000. And I was like, all right, man, you know what? I guess we're paying 12 grand for a Miata. So I started to look into it. I started to figure out, how would I do that? Because it's not like you can't go to the bank and get a loan on a 35-year-old car. And as I'm doing that, I kind of was just on like Car Gurus goofing around. And this one popped up in Laredo, Texas, 1990. Had 65,000 miles on it. Had a hard top, which is, I'd already seen the crazy prices people pay for those things.
Mhm.
Uh, 65,000 miles. It was the original owner's son, and he wanted $6,000 for it. So, my
Damn.
thought. And so, well, here's even the best part because I didn't think about this, but at the time, so I called, but I called him just say, hey man, is this car for real? Tell me about it. What's up with it? And he said, man, it's fine. It was my dad's. I've got it. I've got kids. I don't use it. I don't drive it. We've got some plans we need to do. He had it for like 65. So this is the worst part. He actually had it for $6,500. I talked him down to $6,000. I don't know. I probably should have paid him $6,500. But I said, man, I got to ship it. It's going to be a lot of money. But, so, but yeah, so he said, look, the worst part about it is I live in Texas, so the sun's beat it to death. So, from 20 feet away, it looks flawless. Real up close, the paint is faded, it's destroyed. I'm like, all right, man, if that's legitimately what it is, I'll get on a plane tomorrow. You pick me up from the airport in it, we'll drive it around. Everything looks good. I'll pay you and I'll get it shipped back. So the best news, I guess, like I said, I didn't really think about it with COVID, all that stuff. This was 13 months ago. So, like, the prices have went crazy, you know what I mean, since, what it is. Because I told somebody that actually this past event, and they're like, man, I thought you were going to say 2015 or something. You bought it for
Yeah.
$6,000. Like, no, it was like last year, man. Like, real late 2 years ago or very early last year.
Yeah, I mean that low of miles and a clean, rust-free car. Yeah, I mean at least you can tell your wife it's an investment piece because even everything you put into it, I'm sure you could still sell it for more now than you bought it for.
Yeah.
Plus you put into it. Yeah,
Yeah, with the, I'm going to say, absorbent amount of money I've spent at Leroy, it's still, I think, is worth probably more than I have in
We
it.
gotta
I
we gotta
mean,
come up with some form of like Leroy buck or something, so you can cash in your, loyalty points or something.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, if you do that right now, I need like post dated. I'm gonna need some back. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for
yeah,
sure. Oh
but yeah, I
man.
mean that car nowadays still. I mean it's still worth 12 grand.
Oh
I mean
yeah. So,
it's crazy what some of these clean me out, especially low mileage like that, are going for. So
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, it's wild. I don't know. I mean, I get it to a point. But I'm also lucky because I do have a lot of respect for cars. Granted, I mean, I'd RWB a Porsche right now. You know what I mean? But I believe in some cars are historic, survivors and stuff. But this car, because it was from Texas, it already had a second dash in it with the wrong VIN number. You know what I mean? So it's not like it was I don't care to bang it around a little bit. You know what I mean? And do some stuff to it.
Hmm.
So
mhm.
it's just the right amount of clean, but it's not it's not no, Mazda's not trying to buy it for the museum. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
Right,
a
right.
survivor. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, man. So it's good. It's a nice car, and now it's now unfortunately I've spent the money to have really no excuses for me not to be faster than I am. But you know,
Well, I guess that brings up the one question. Does it have the factory limited slip in it, or did you do the torsion upgrade at Leroy?
I have not. So that was one thing when they were doing all the work to it. I told them I had no idea what was in it. So it turns out it is the limited slip, which I guess is
Okay.
like the viscous, right? Is what it is.
Yeah, the
So
Yeah, it's
Visco
viscous.
style
yeah,
limited slip.
yeah. And for now, it's fine. You know what I mean?
So,
So
so yeah, your car is very comparable to Joe Murphy's then. As he still's running the viscous limited slip, but his is I think a 93 NA.
yeah, same
So
difference really. Still
yeah,
one
but
six.
Mhm.
still 1.6, still the viscous limited slip. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I gotta say, I never would have been the person to you know enjoy what let's be fair 98 horsepower, like what are we really talking about here? uh, I'm
Yeah.
I grew up, a buddy of mine I remember had one of the, what do they call them now, what do they call, I think they call him the Terminator. It's a
oh
2003
yeah,
like factory supercharged Mustang.
Yeah, the
um,
yeah, the
Terminator Cobra.
Cobras.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cobra, yeah, the Cobra. And
They got the
it made
5.4 in there.
600
Yeah.
horsepower or whatever it was, and that's what we
Uh
used to ride around in. And I would have never thought how fun, 7,200 RPMs in a car that I weigh a fourth of. It's how fun it is. I mean, especially now with the absolute just walls of grip that it has. You know what I mean? It's absolutely a blast to drive.
huh.
It is probably one of the funnest cars I've ever driven.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, up until driving a Miata, like I'd not really driven anything that just had the same type of like turn and eagerness to rotate that a Miata has. The closest to it prior was like a 350Z, but then post Miata, I think I did drive like an FRS, and those also did a good amount of that, but they were far more stable than what you get in Miata. Just the
Yeah,
eagerness to rotate into Miata is just amazing, and
Hmm.
how light it feels.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's cool, man. It's a fun little car. I like it. I fit in it good enough. We'll go with that. You know what I mean?
You
So
fit in it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in it. I'm in it or I'm out of it. I don't really like being in the transition between in and out of it. But
Okay.
yeah, once we're in it, we're fine. Once we're out of it, we're fine. Um, yeah, I actually was. I was driving the other day with the wife, and we stopped in at just like Home Depot, and I lost her in the store. On purpose or accident, whichever way you want to look at it. And so I just went back out to the car. So I'm just kind of standing behind the Miata, and this guy walks out, big old guy, and he comes walks past me. He goes, "I don't think we'd fit, man." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you right now, I barely do." And he just kind of like turned real fast and was like, "That's really your car?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I know I'm a little big. I'm a little big." So
everyone out there who
Oh,
hasn't signed up for it yet, you need to
we
sign up
gotta
for
make
the
we gotta
two
make
day.
predictions.
Oh yes,
uh,
we do.
We gotta make
Um,
predictions. Oh god, here we go.
let's see. You
So,
gonna still throw yourself in the at number one here? This,
you know
this
it.
last week. This last week was just last weekend was just a fluke.
I had an extra one. Somebody put an extra one on my finishing position. I don't know. It must have been a typo or something. There was an
somebody put
extra
some
one on
extra
there.
cones under your bumper. Is what
Ah!
is what they did.
See,
Oh my
he was
gosh.
winning so good he had to win twice, so that's why there's two ones there.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Alrighty.
yeah.
Uh,
So
so do
pit
we?
race pavement's a little different. It's a little more
Mm-hmm.
glassy, smooth. Jim, have you ever been to pit?
No, no. I
Very
heard the
cool venue.
traction is not. It's not all there.
Yeah, it's nothing to write home about. It's super smooth. So like IX Center, you're going down the course. This
Yeah,
is like driving on a racetrack, but there's the grip's just not there. It's so smooth. Um, so I think it's gonna the finishing position is gonna be a little different than it would be at other venues. I have a feeling Ryan Heiler's going to do a little better than most because that's his home track. He works at Pitt,
Mm.
Mm.
so he knows that pad.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, say top five. That's I mean,
it's tough.
I know who will be in the top five, but the actual order is going to be interesting.
All right,
Let's
so
go.
who's going to be in the top five then?
All right, so Andrew, you, Jonathan, Ryan, and I think Joe
Okay,
Murphy. Um,
so you're saying
yeah,
Ryan Heiler. I think
Ryan
Ryan
Heiler. Yeah,
McDonald
Ryan
is missing.
McDonald is yeah. He does not appear to be currently signed up. We only got 24 people in the class right now. Come on, we can do better than that.
Yeah, there is a cap. There is a cap for the entries.
hmm Um,
So can you organize that into a position?
ooh, I, you know what? I think Andrew's finally going to pull it off. I think he's going to pull off the win.
Okay.
Um,
This is
you're
2 days. This is two
yes.
days times added together.
Ooh, yes, you're right. I'm still gonna. I'm thinking he's gonna do it this time. Um, because it's 2 days, I think I'm gonna actually give it to Jonathan. I think he's got a little bit better consistency. You
Okay,
go for broke a lot,
I
but
do.
you're gonna be there in third.
I do want you to recall what happened at the national tour last year.
Oh yes,
Just
that
saying
is
that was a
true.
2 day event. That was a 2 day event.
And but yeah, it was 2 day event, 3 runs each day, and yeah,
So we do
you
have
stepped up
six
very
runs.
quickly.
This is
So the
a
six
lot more
runs each
runs.
day, I think, gives everybody else a better shot to whittle down that time.
This is true.
Um,
All right, so you're placing Andrew first, Jonathan second.
I'll get you in third, and then
All right.
I guess Ryan and then Joe. Hey, you know, if I
It's
just,
fine. It's
you know,
fine.
we all can't just put you in first every time.
I know. I just got to cross my fingers. Your prediction's
I
wrong.
got to insult you a little bit to really drive, get your drive going.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Hmm. Well, here. So listen, I'll tell you what. I'll help you because otherwise, I don't want you crying when we get off here. Okay, I don't want you crying. So I'll give you an uneducated opinion. So I do think, based off of a conversation, really about your ability, Brian, to rotate a car, and do that. If it's a track where you might get the tires to turn a little bit, and then get a little sideways. Because I watch a lot of your runs, man. That I feel like we've always said drifting's not the fastest way to do it. But man, you're close. Like you're close. You know what I mean? Like your car is not exactly steering. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think you are very good at that. So I'll give you the dub. I'll give you the dub for next weekend.
Appreciate it, brother.
Um, I will give Jonathan second place based off of the fact that it's a 2 day event and consistency. I think it's possible that I think it's possible, right? You're going to have a hard weekend ahead of you because he's going to be very consistent. I mean, I watch. You are not to say you're not, but I have seen he has less. All out oopsie daisies than you do.
Uh,
So
yeah.
so we'll go with him. I think Andrew has to be third if you're looking at what it is, and then yeah, fourth and fifth. I think Ryan and Joe in any particular order is fair, right? I think that's fair.
All
So
right.
yeah, so that's my top three. I'll give it to Brian and Jonathan and Andrew, and I'm going to be not last. All right,
All
that's
right.
my other prediction. I'm going to need not last.
Who's your prediction for last?
Oh man, you know what? I have to. I don't even care. There's no way I would forgive myself if I didn't get out of this without saying Tim. Okay, that's I know. I don't even know if it's true, but that's who I'm saying every time. So it's
Poor Tim.
I will tell you, I have gotten as close as you can get to having a man crush on somebody with Tim. I love Tim to death. He is a lot of fun, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's I did I asked her, it was really fun. I told the guy running grid there, I said, I don't care what place I finish as long as it's one ahead of him. That's all that matters to me. I can be 39th as long as he's 40th, buddy. That's all that matters. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about you, Brian?
Well, I am predicting that I will do well at this event, so I'm gonna I feel like I'm screwing myself though because I said first at the last one and I added an extra one. So, um, gee, I'm gonna say I hope I get first, and then the order would probably be Andrew. Um, we'll say Ryan Heiler, Jonathan, and Joe.
Oh boy.
I think Jonathan's going to struggle. Yeah.
So we were at the low key. I think it was like low key 2. It was maybe a month ago, and Jonathan was really struggling with grip in his car. Uh, basically, the car he would enter a corner, and the rear would rotate, and it wouldn't stop rotating until he exited the corner. But it was you were talking about rotation earlier. This was a little more than just. This was rear steer, man. Like the whole back end is going. So, I going off of that from the way he performed there last time. I mean, I hope the best for him. Of course, he's my competitor. I gotta hope for the best. But I think it's going to be a little challenging. He'll definitely have to relearn how to drive there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that does kind of go into you're running the softer springs, which may actually benefit better than me and him on the stiffer springs. So
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
could be a thing.
I don't know.
It
We'll
could
see.
be.
Could be something.
I hope
Yeah,
not. I got the
I-
same springs, so I'm hoping that's not.
Oh,
the
you
case.
have
Oh,
you have the
okay.
stiffer also. Yeah.
Yeah. When we did, we had that question, and of course, I knew about nothing. So I just told him, I said, "Listen, man, whatever you think." I said, I am willing to go full race car. I don't care how uncomfortable this is to drive. Like just whatever you think it is. So, so he went with the upgraded or the newer, the stiffer stuff, and quite frankly, I was my old suspension was riding on the bump stops anyway, so it's actually still pretty comfortable to drive compared to what it was.
Mhm.
So it's not so bad. But yeah,
There you
I
go.
do have. I guess I'm one of the
The upgrade
few people
package.
that they
Yep.
are that are running those this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. This will be the first time with really stiff suspension for me at pit. So I did not make it to the low key, and prior to that, it was always with the ES spec suspension. So I'm very curious to see how it goes this year.
Mhm.
Hoping for better.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we got our predictions in. I guess now is the end of the podcast.
Yep. And if you still
So-
haven't signed up for the for the 2-day, do it now. There is a cap; it'll fill up.
and it is fun. There is a barbecue
Yes.
truck there. Really good food. I usually get the pulled pork mac and cheese with a bunch of barbecue sauce on top. Man, you can't go wrong with a barbecue truck.
Always good. Yes, I will be camping. How about you, Brian?
I am camping as well.
Jim?
I don't actually know the answer to that. I think I'm definitely staying up there. I talked to the wife. We might get to a hotel. We might camp. We haven't figured it out, but I don't think I'm coming back home. I think we're staying up there. So either way,
Sounds good.
Camping is only $10.
yeah. Well, yeah,
So
yeah. I told her we could sleep in the Miata. I mean, we'll figure that out.
yeah, I'm sure she would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. Thanks for watching episode 4 of the LMC podcast. We will see you next time.
Catch you
See ya.
later.